Yes, sir.
Yeah, let's start.
Yes, sir. Answer.
No
Good
problem.
morning, sir. My name is Tanishqa Bhujbal, and I am the managing editor of the newsletter committee. As a member of MRV's newsletter committee, I've had the privilege of interacting with many inspiring individuals, but today's conversation stands out as truly special. In a world where we scroll past news of conflict and independence with just a swipe, we as students often forget the depth behind the word freedom. What does it truly mean, and how has it changed over time? And most importantly, what we can do as a next generation to uphold the value. To help us reflect on these powerful questions, we've had the honor of speaking with you, sir, Mr. Mehendale, a proud veteran who has witnessed India's journey through some of its most defining moments. In this interview, we explore the differences between the freedom of past and how it is experienced today, and how the youth of our country, students like me, can shape a brighter and more responsible future. We can also learn about your motivations, challenges, and the values that continue to drive over time. So, without any further ado, let's begin.
Okay.
So, let's start with a very big question. What does freedom mean to you personally? Has its meaning changed over time for you?
For me, freedom starts at a very personal level in the sense that I believe that everybody in the world should have a right to express themselves fairly and truly. We may not always agree with what others say or opine, but we must be able to listen to them and give them a hearing. It doesn't necessarily need to sway our opinions, but we cannot just deride somebody because their views differ from ours. You know, I think Voltaire, the famous French Democrat's philosophy was that, that I may not agree with what you say, but I will defend to the death your right to say it. And that I think is truly something which we must as a world evolve, you
Yeah,
know.
so together we should accept each and every person's opinion, right?
Yes, accept, may not agree, but accept their right to at least express their opinions. We can't just tell them that you cannot say what you believe because I don't want to hear it. And
Yeah.
that's what's happening too much over the world, including our country.
You were part of a generation that saw India through its most powerful changes. What motivated you to fight for your country? And was there a moment or an event that made you said, I need to do something?
I'd say, very honestly, I am a second generation naval officer. My father was in the Navy, command in the Navy for about 20 years. Both my grandfathers were in the police. So service comes naturally to us. And at the age of 17 or 18, I thought of joining the Navy and I was very clear I'd join submarine someday. And it was a great thrill, a great experience, and also the privilege of great responsibility. Even today, when young men and women join the armed forces, whether as officers or as men, they get great responsibility at very young ages. At the age of 20, 21, you could be, by 23, 24, flying a fighter jet. You'll be leading about 20 men into battle and having a tank, maybe a ship. It's a great responsibility and privilege. And finally, you do it for the flag. It is a sense of, honor and pride that, we stand. We are the, as you like to say, the first and last line of defense. So it's great pride.
As students, we often talk about freedom in terms of speech, choice, and career, but freedom is a very deep word. So, how do you see today's youth using their freedom, and how is it different from when you were growing up?
Very honestly, I think today's youth is far more aware. They're far more, they're far more informed. And I think that's why they really use the freedom very well. To be honest, they express themselves very freely when they can. They have many more platforms to express themselves, which is great, and to learn from. My only concern is that sometimes we also go to this cancel culture, or as I said before, that the ability not to listen to others. On a WhatsApp group, we have more fights happening than discussions. There's no debate. We've lost the sense of debate, perhaps, and which is the only thing I think they should do. Otherwise, today's youth is going great. I mean, it's far more informed than we were ever.
So, what do you personally think about the term cancel culture and what is it is doing to the current youth?
I think cancel culture is basically, I believe, where you have somebody has an opinion and you simply shut him out of the debate or the talk. So you lose the opportunity to hear another point of view,
Hmm.
and therefore, it's a it's self-generating creature. This, that we all agree with the same thing, and so we keep repeating it, and there's no thought coming into our minds, and which I think is a concern.
Hmm. In your opinion, what can today's generation, my generation, do better as citizens to support and strengthen our country?
Very honestly, I keep hearing this. What can today's generation do better, better, better? Maybe today's generation actually is doing better.
Hmm.
The truth is, they know that we as adults can learn from them, and I think they're doing a great job. Every generation feels the next generation is not doing enough. The truth is, the next generation is taking us forward. I think you are the future of our country. You will take us towards this vision of Viksit Bharat. May not be 2047, but someday I'm sure we'll reach there. And you are our future. So you will make it happen. I'm sure of it.
We students are the future leaders and change makers. So, personally, what do you think? Which qualities each and every leader should future leader should have?
I think the most important quality is honesty. The honesty, whether you're in a management company, whether you're a leader in the armed forces, within any field, honesty is the most important policy that the most important quality that stands out, and that's something which will define us.
So now we would move on to a more personal note. So we would love to hear about your experiences, a particular story or memory that has stayed with you from your journey for fighting and serving our country. So it's something like shaped who you are today.
The experiences I've had are essentially about what I was in submarines, as I say. So for me, camaraderie has been the one thing that stood out for me in the service. Because, submarine, we have 40 or 45 men, and we operate in a very harsh environment where a single mistake can be fatal. Each man counts, from the captain down to the junior most, and each man has a role to do and must do it perfectly. We all go down and come up together. So it's a great place to work, and I really enjoyed that. Otherwise, I also feel that, one lesson I learned was to learn from others. One can't be perfect, but one can definitely improve and work towards perfection and excellence. So every time I served in a commanding officer when I was much younger, I used to really look at the best qualities they had, ignore the what you'd call the kinks or the undesirable traits, and try to focus and mold myself according to what they did. So I had some commanding officers who were exceptional HR leaders, but very poor at operations. Some who were balanced, and I try to keep taking the best from each one, and that's what's really shaped me. To learn to be kind, considerate, and yet very honestly, in the armed forces, unfortunately, one has to be firm.
Mm.
I would not say cruel in the civil society may be considered cruel at times, but finally, unfortunately, in the armed forces, the job has to be done. There is no tomorrow. There is no, the failures are too great and too catastrophic to allow them to happen. So that's what I've learned.
Yeah. And even today, so many years later, we still see the fire burning in you. So, what keeps you motivated? What keeps you so hopeful for India's future?
Personally, motivation is simply about, I'm still doing the things I love to do. I am still associated with the Navy in many ways, so I really enjoy that. I'm hopeful for the future because I really believe we have a great generation coming up. My own children are about your age, and I see them, and they're bright kids, they're smart kids, they're aware, they're very, very sharp kids, all of you. So I'm sure India is going to do very well under you.
Thank you so much, sir, for sharing your wisdom, your stories, and your passion. As a student, this conversation makes me reflect on how much we have inherited and how much we owe to our country, and to give back even in the smallest of ways. Whether it's standing up for what's right, caring for our environment, helping someone in need, or just simply being more aware. We can all make a difference, and that is too a form of patriotism. Thank you so much, sir, for giving this interview. Thank you. Jai Hind.
Thank you, Tanishqa. Jai Hind.